Welcome back. The political leader of the United Workers' Party says the party is on course to mounting a credible challenge to the ruling St. Lucia Labour Party at the upcoming general elections. Alan Chastney says the UWP is being infused by new blood. Speaking directly to the entry of former news reporter and current regional communications manager at Sanders Resorts International, Dominic Fede last weekend won a runoff for the Anse La Raye Canaries constituency. Alan Chastney says he is pleased with the process the party is now using to select candidates. Much like a job, an application is required, followed by an interview and presentation to financial members of the various constituency branches. I sat down with the UWP leader to discuss the runoff and the resulting implications for the Anse La Raye Canaries constituency.
The ultimate decision-making body on who the final candidate is actually the National Council. So you may have a candidate that may be the darling of a constituency, but may, according to the polls or impact on a national basis, may not be the right person. And that's where the National Council will make the final decision on the way forward. So in terms of Anse La Raye Canaries, I thought we had some really good candidates. We went through almost a 9-week process to go from the interviews all the way to the presentations. So I think that all the members in Anse La Raye Canaries were given the opportunity to have met the candidates. And then you have to look at the fact that we had 100 potential, 99 potential people to vote. 86 of them voted. And hundreds of people came from around the island to witness that evening. So I think it tells you of the interest in the party.
My name is Dominic. I am the Regional Public Relations Manager for Sandals, and I've been with the company for 9 years now, 9 years in the hospitality business. Well, in
terms of Dominic himself, the fact is he is a young guy, he's a young professional, and we are looking to bring new blood into the party and people that can inspire everyone in terms of that this party is the vehicle for change in this country. And as I keep on saying, change is not about just us changing ourselves, but is to solve the problems of this country. Where I am not, and I know that many members of my executive are not interested about just winning the election. It's about having a team of people that can operate as a team, that are determined to solve the many problems that we have in this country. So we are going to need a spectrum of people to be able to do that. So we're going to need women, we're going to need young people, we're going to need professionals, we're going to be hardworking middle-class people, we're going to need people who are business people, we're going to need people from the legal fraternity, we're going to need people from the medical fraternity to be able to resolve the very complicated puzzle that we have known as St. Lucia.
What is the party's vision, your vision for Anse La Raye Canaries? Because it is a belt that is just so stricken with unemployment, poverty. You have high teen pregnancy, unwanted pregnancies there. You know, housing is such a critical issue. The conditions of living are also very critical for these people. And it would seem that perhaps the constituency, to those who live the life, can't catch a break. So what is the break that the UWP wants to bring to Anse La Raye Canaries?
Well, when you look back in history, the one thing that the banana industry was very successful in doing was bringing money to the community, the outer communities. So it means you didn't have to move to the city to be able to earn an income, or you didn't have to have money transferred from the city to be able to maintain people living in the community. And since the demise of bananas, we've never had anything to be able to replace that. So clearly one of the visions that we continuously talk about and are going to be articulating is what we call village tourism. So the idea of creating an environment to allow small businesses to be able to develop in a community like an Anse La Raye and a Canaries. So Anse La Raye is very lucky. The marquee event already is a fish fry. I feel, and I was critical of my own government, and I've been critical of former governments, I feel that when we did the fishing project with the Japanese, it didn't do enough to integrate within the existing economy of Anse La Raye. You know, I tried to get our people to go to Oistins in Barbados, where you had the ability of having the fishermen bring the fresh fish in, being able to cut it there and cook it there, and doing it on every night. Why is it is only on a Friday night? To improve the infrastructure in the town, where we can see some small hotels opening up in the town, having shops, so that basically the tourism is not just on a Friday night, but it's all throughout the week. And so that Anse La Raye almost becomes like a resort in itself, okay? Where somebody owns the rooms, somebody else runs the restaurant, somebody else runs the shops, and then you have that marquee attraction. So the marquee attraction in Anse La Raye have been the waterfalls as well as the town itself. In the area of Canaries, there's a beautiful waterfall that's really untapped. And then they had the church, and the idea behind the church was to cause the church to become a huge art gallery, so that some of the best West Indian art would be sold there. So again, the tourists who are going on their way to Soufrière or traveling around, they would know that that's what they would go to Canaries. Key to all of that is developing the waterfronts. So bringing back the water transportation into St. Lucia. And so the idea would be that when tourists come off of the cruise ships, that they can get into water taxis and go to a town without a prearranged tour. So that there's lots of things for them to be able to do, and very easy and accessible. So when we were doing the Hummingbird Beach project in Soufrière, that was a main driving force behind that. Create an infrastructure that would allow the tourists to be able to come, and that once the tourists came, they weren't on a prepackaged tour, a prepaid tour. So they would be doing their own things once they arrived there. So that is a key part of the Anse La Raye Canaries community. Once you now can start getting businesses going back into that community, it's now to revive agriculture. And we have to find a way of still tapping into the opportunities with bananas, because we all believe that they are. Right now, we're not meeting our quota. You know, Martinique and Guadeloupe have never changed in the amount of bananas that they were producing and selling. So we've got to be able to revive that and give the support to our banana growers, because that's where agriculture plays an integral role in making sure that there's revenue in those community areas. There's a combination of things that we'll be working on. I know that Dominic also has some very clear ideas, and I also know that Herman Gill Francis has some really great ideas. And what's great about the result of the event is that they've all agreed to work with each other, because what we need to do is focus now on Anse La Raye and Canaries. And I can assure you that in our administration, that great prominence will be given to those two communities, as will be some other communities. But we want to be able to develop a more balanced growth in St. Lucia, and you can only achieve that by diversifying out of the North Belt. And the South and the West Coast really has to be developed. And we think that village tourism is a good lead into those kind of things.
Social media is a buzz right now with speculation. The rumor mill is churning that the entry of Dominic Fede and teaming up with the United Workers' Party means that there is an underlying deal happening with Butch Stewart, and sort of solidifying his position in St. Lucia, that he is going to support the United Workers' Party, whether it means through funding, what have you. And in return, the United Workers' Party is going to give him whatever he wants so that he can continue with his hotel plans for St. Lucia. What say you on that?
Well, I don't think that there's anything as devious as that afoot. I think the Dominic entry took a lot of people by surprise. I don't think a lot of people had seen that he was going to have an interest in coming into politics. So first of all, let me congratulate him and welcome that, because I think we need more people to actually put action and put boots on the ground, rather than giving their philosophies in terms of what they think that should be done. I think the sad part here is that, you know, Mr. Stewart, who has made an enormous contribution to the growth of our country, and I think that that's undeniable, was interested and has been interested to make an investment in St. Lucia. Now, why is it that he has now done 2 hotels outside of St. Lucia? So the Sandals Grenada, $120 million US. They've just Casuarina in Barbados, another $140 million. In my understanding, they're now going to expand Casuarina by another 200 rooms. There's also talk about the beaches going into Antigua. And why is it that we've not been able to get Mr. Stewart to finish the expansion of Sandals Grand? And he's been talking about doing a beaches in St. Lucia. Right now, that's what we need, is investment. And when you go around in the streets, people are talking about the need for jobs. And here you have an individual that whenever he's made a promise to, whether it's St. Lucia or another island, he's delivered. Whereas we seem to have so many fly-by-night investors. So if in fact Dominic gives us an advantage with Mr. Stewart, then I'm glad for it. But I think it'll be to the benefit of the people of St. Lucia.
Stay with the CTV News. We're back after the break.